My name is Susan Rodgers, and I have lived here in Worcester since 1989. Currently, I'm doing anthropological research on racism's impact on refugees in our city, in collaboration with Holy Cross student researcher Jenny Farroud, who's from a Haitian American family, and she lives in East Worcester. Let me start by telling you a bit more about Professor Ibram X. Kendi's remarkable book that we've been reading together, How to Be an Anti-Racist, which the Wednesday Evening Anti-Racism Study and Action Group has been grappling with since this summer. As Courtney Stevens reminded us last Sunday, not only are whites like myself recipients and beneficiaries of white privilege, despite our protestations, we are also entangled in being racist. Kendi's book offers us a game plan for moving beyond this. At one level, Kendi, a Black man, is writing a personal memoir about his own transformations from being a bored and dissatisfied high school student in a predominantly white public school in Manassas, Virginia, to going on to Hampton University, a historically Black college or university, to going on from that to getting a PhD in Black Studies at Temple University in Philadelphia. He details his encounters with various forms of Black power movements as he eventually comes to realize, and this is the second level of his book, that anti-Black racism was structured into, wired into American life from the era of slavery through a failed Reconstruction period and on into the present day when anti-Black ideology permeates such institutional fields as schooling, the church, housing, government, law, and certainly the police forces all the way from the town level to the federal level. Throughout his narrative, Kendi reminds readers it is not enough to analyze and think about and talk about trying to be an anti-racist. One has to actively change policy if we want to help the country move toward a genuinely fair, just, and equitable future. One insight has stood out for me above all others while reading How to Be an Anti-Racist with the Wednesday evening study group. It is always a mistake, he contends, to believe and act upon overgeneralized stereotypes about other people, not seeing the actual endlessly complicated, historically situated individuality and humanity of every person we meet in life leads us, unfortunately, to quickly place others into neat little conceptual boxes, such as needy refugee, or far-right evangelical, or special needs child, or welfare recipient, and so on, in a contemporary America still tethered to racial hierarchy, a tragic legacy, of course, of plantation slavery. Such stereotypic modes of thinking can be profoundly destructive when racialized, when cast into racial terms, and when deployed by people in positions of social privilege. Negative imageries of Blacks still corrode white American consciousness, whether we admit it or not. And Kendi documents throughout his book. When used by armed police officers, such inaccurate ways of thinking about Black fellow citizens have led to snap judgments and to state-sponsored killings of Black people. The conceptual linkage of ideas of Black men and criminality on the part of some police officers and policymakers has been particularly pernicious and tragic, especially when fear of Blacks as a supposed threat is mixed in. Kendi urges us throughout his book to ask, as Americans, how can we all learn to see past blunt racialized stereotypes born of years of racialized economic exploitation? How can all Americans learn to appreciate the greatness of Black cultures? How can police training break out of racialized stereotypic cliches? How can we learn to encounter our neighbors with fairness? Jesus taught, really see the human person and honor the reality that all people are precious in God's sight. Our Wednesday evening group is now exploring matters of moving beyond discussing these issues to actually grappling with what might be some anti-racist policy changes that we can foster in the church, in the town, and in the country as a whole. We hope that you can join us. Thank you.